How many decisions do you make every day? Now, maybe your answer to this is not many. I go to work, I do things, but really think about it. How many decisions do you make every day when you choose what to eat or what to wear, or you make big decisions in life when you're thinking about buying a house or having children or being in a relationship or not being in one? Um, we have big decisions and we have smaller ones, like, do I want to use a black pen or a red pen? Um, is our energy limited when making decisions? Do we have a certain capacity? Today we're going to read about decision fatigue, fatiga de decisión o cansancio de decisión. My name's Sebastian and this is Life English. Hola a todos, soy Sebastián y esto es Life English. Aquí pretendo realizar clases, lecciones que yo preparo para mis alumnos, ponerlas en YouTube para que las vea quien quiera utilizarlas, que aprendan algo de vocabulario, algo del idioma, a la vez que aprendemos o leemos o descubrimos un tema nuevo que no conocíamos o que nos parece interesante. Hoy vamos a hablar de la fatiga de decisión o decision fatigue en inglés. Vamos a ver en qué consiste eso, qué implica, y también he desarrollado esta clase basándome en un vídeo de TED que habla sobre la fatiga de decisión, que os facilitaré el link durante la clase. Vamos a ver de qué va esto de la fatiga de decisión. Well, before we get into doing exercises or reading anything, what is decision fatigue? So as the name describes, fatigue is tiredness, cansancio, tiredness, decision, decisión, right? So this is tiredness of making decisions. So it's when we become tired of making decisions. Do you feel that there's a moment during the day in which you can no longer make any more decisions, or the decisions you're going to make are not very good? Have you ever thought about that? Is there a limit? There's a point when it's like, that's it, it's enough. Are you better at making decisions in the morning or in the evening? Are you a morning person, an early bird, or are you a night owl, person who's more active or more productive in the evening? How do you think the time of day might affect people making decisions? If you're a morning person, perhaps you make better decisions in the morning, and if you're a night owl, maybe you make better decisions at night. Some people are a bit more cranky in the morning and they can't really think clearly, so maybe they have to wait until their brain is a bit more awake to make big decisions or important decisions. For example, what professionals, what jobs can maybe suffer more from a concept like decision fatigue? Okay, so decision fatigue is our capacity, or it's when we become tired of making decisions and we no longer are able to make good decisions or make decisions clearly. It starts becoming very hard work and we need time to recover. Depending on what you do, I'm sure that in whatever job you do, you have to make a number of decisions. A job, or maybe you're a student, in your life you have to make decisions. You have to decide on choosing one thing or another. Have you ever thought about your limits? What professions might be more susceptible to decision fatigue? Well, I already know a few of these that can be important, but think of people like air traffic controllers, right? People who are managing the traffic of airplanes at an airport. They might be very tired of making very critical decisions. Every decision they make can have a very big impact. There are lots of lives that are going in those planes, that are flying in those planes, and they need to make sure that they don't mix it up, make a mistake, and put two planes on the same path. Doctors, perhaps, have to make a lot of decisions. They have to decide treatments. They have to make important decisions whether to perform surgery or to not perform surgery. I don't know, maybe a referee in football, un árbitro en el fútbol, a referee. A referee has to decide whether one team wins or another team loses based on the number of red or yellow cards they bring out. So that could be important. That could have a big impact. So they might get quite tired after making all of these decisions during a 90-minute match or longer. Well, what do you think? Do you think that which are the jobs that might make more critical decisions? Well, we're gonna open the lesson plan and we're gonna see what this is about. Let's go. Okay, here we are. And we're looking at the lesson about decision fatigue. Okay, so the first thing that I have here in this lesson of decision fatigue is a quote of Obama. And he says, you'll see, I wear only gray or blue suits. I'm trying to pare down decisions, to reduce decisions. I don't want to make decisions about what I'm eating or wearing because I have too many other decisions to make. So there are already people who are that have strategies to avoid making big decisions. So that, I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. If we reduce some of the small decisions, we have more energy for the big ones. Okay. Now, we can do this in two ways. First, you can watch the video in the link, or you can read the text first and then watch the video. Now, both ways are good. If we read the text first, we have more time to understand what the video is about, and then we're able to understand the video a bit better. But if we do it the other way around, well, we try and make an effort. We try and understand the video as best as possible, and then we come and check the summary and do the exercise and then confirm what we thought we knew. It's up to you, whatever you want. Both ways are valid. If you're having more difficulty with listening, I would recommend reading first, so that way we get the idea first, and then watching the video will expand on that summary and give us more vocabulary and more aspects of this topic. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the text with its corrections. We're going to go straight into it. And so if you want to do this exercise first, you can pause the video, take a look, write down your answers, and then we'll see at the end if you are right or not. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to begin reading it. Okay, everyone, so let's begin reading the text about decision fatigue. In a 2011 study, researchers observed judges, jueces, determining parole. Parole is libertad condicional. It's when we're allowed to leave prison on the condition that we do not commit any other crimes. Determining parole for imprisoned individuals. Contrary to expectations that the decision would primarily depend on something, depend on factors like the crime, sentence, and behavior, it was found that the time of day, la hora del día, the time of day, significantly influenced the outcome, the specific outcome of this situation. Not an outcome, which would be any outcome in any situation. Prisoners seen in the morning had a higher chance of receiving parole compared to those reviewed in the afternoon, regardless of similar crimes and sentences. Regardless, sin importar que sean crímenes similares y las sentencias similares. This was attributed to the judges experiencing decision fatigue by the afternoon. They were tired. Decision fatigue, a state of cognitive exhaustion, fatiga, exhaustión. Cognitive exhaustion from prolonged decision making, que proviene de toma de decisiones prolongadas. Leads to, lleva a, resulta en, da como resultado, leads to impulsive and less confident choices. This phenomenon is not only relevant in high-stakes scenarios, high stakes, de alto riesgo, de alta importancia, high-stakes scenarios, such as the judicial system, but also affects daily life. It arises, surge, emerge, it arises because all activities, physical or mental, consume energy. Research indicates a daily threshold, threshold is umbral, límite, capacidad. It's the limit to which we can do things, the threshold. Indicates a threshold. There is a threshold for each person. There is a limit for each person. Research indicates a daily threshold for decision making. Once reached, una vez alcanzada, once reached, people tend to avoid further complex decisions. The ease, facilidad, easy, fácil, ease, facilidad. The ease of reaching this threshold varies based on decision frequency, complexity, and novelty. Routine decisions, like choosing breakfast, are less taxing that they have a lower cost. They require less effort. Something is taxing, something is hard and requires an effort. Que te agota menos. ¿Vale? Are less taxing due to their familiarity and low stakes y baja importancia, bajo riesgo. However, unexpected and complex decisions, such as urgently replacing a broken down car, un coche averiado, broken down, averiado, require extensive research and consideration, quickly depleting decision-making capacity. High-stakes professionals, like judges and doctors, such as judges and doctors as an example, okay, like judges and doctors, como por ejemplo jueces y doctores, are particularly susceptible to, susceptible a, están en riesgo de, ¿no? Son vulnerables a, son susceptibles. They are susceptible to decision fatigue due to the continuous need to make critical decisions. To combat decision fatigue, one can adopt strategies like reducing daily decision-making, spreading tasks over multiple days, a lo largo de múltiples días, over time, over the years, over the weeks, over multiple days, or eliminating routine decisions. Imagining oneself aconsejando, advising on a decision, rather than, en vez de making it, en vez de hacerlo o tomarlo, can also lessen, reducir, bajar, the mental load, la carga mental. Additionally, recognizing the varying importance of decisions and not overemphasizing, sobreenfatizar o exagerar o darle más importancia de la que merece, overemphasizing minor ones, helps conserve cognitive energy for more significant choices. Ayuda a conservar energía para decisiones más significativas, más importantes. Addressing decision fatigue requires both personal strategies and institutional changes, especially in professions involving frequent, high-stakes decisions. Okay, now let's move on to the second page of the worksheet, where we have some sentences with some gaps that we have to fill in. We have to put the verbs in brackets in the correct tense. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the answers. I'm going to read the full sentences. If you want to do these exercises before I correct them, pause the video, do the exercises, and then listen to the corrections. Okay, so then let's go. By the end of the day, the judge felt extremely exhausted from making so many decisions. Felt extremely exhausted. So, se sintió extremadamente exhausto, agotado, ¿vale? En el pasado. I was thinking that maybe grammatically it would also make sense to say the judge feels extremely exhausted if we're thinking about a judge on a daily basis. So every day the judge performs a series of decisions and the judge feels extremely exhausted from making so many decisions. That would also be correct. Okay? If you make too many complex decisions early in the day, you might experience decision fatigue later. If you make complex decisions, you might experience decision fatigue. Decision fatigue often occurs after a long period of continuous decision making. So often, frequency adverb, often occurs, present simple, third person singular, so we add that s at the end. Often occurs. A menudo ocurre. Sucede. After a long period of continuous decision making. The researchers found that decisions made in the morning were generally more favorable. So the researchers conducted research, okay, and they looked into this, and they found in their research in the past, they found that decisions made in the morning were generally more favorable. We could also use, I would say that we could also use present perfect here. We could say researchers have found, because it is true now. It's something that has started in the past, but it's still true now, and it's something that can be considered news, something new, something that we are just learning about. So we could also use the present perfect. If he had had a break, he might not have suffered from decision fatigue. So if he had had a break in the past, so if before doing something in the past, he had done something else, in this case to have a break, if he had a break and then later he made a decision, he might not have suffered from decision fatigue. So this is the past perfect, and in this case the auxiliary verb is had and the main verb is also had, so it looks a bit weird when they are placed together, but it makes perfect sense. When she faced decision fatigue, her choices became less rational. So because of the context of the sentence, we see her choices became, we're already talking about the past. So when she faced decision fatigue, cuando se enfrentó a la fatiga de decisión, sus decisiones se volvieron menos racionales, menos lógicas. If they limited the number of decisions made, decision fatigue could be reduced. Okay, we're using a conditional here. If they did something, something else could happen. So if they put a limit on the number of decisions, they could potentially reduce the decision fatigue they suffer and thus not affecting people in the evening. Okay, si hubiesen limitado el número de decisiones, podrían reducir la fatiga de decisión. The concept of decision fatigue has become more widely understood in recent years. It has become, se ha vuelto, it has changed, it has transformed, and it is now more widely understood than in the past. El concepto de la fatiga de decisión se ha vuelto más ampliamente entendido en años recientes. Okay. By the time it was evening, she had made so many decisions that she felt overwhelmed. Para cuando ya era tarde, o por la tarde, tarde-noche, ella había tomado tantas decisiones que ella se sentía abrumada. Overwhelmed, abrumado. When you have too much on your plate and you just can't cope with everything you are doing. If you plan your day carefully, you can avoid decision fatigue. If you do something, you can do another thing. You can get something else. So if you plan your day carefully, you can avoid decision fatigue. Si planeas el día con cuidado, puedes evitar la fatiga. Okay, that's all. Now let's go on to the next exercise and let's see where that is. Okay, match columns A and B. In high-pressure jobs like those in judiciary or medical field, judiciary or medical field, professionals face a greater risk of decision fatigue due to constant critical decision making. Okay. 2A, to combat decision fatigue, one can spread out decision making across several days or seek to minimize the number of decisions made daily. Decision fatigue occurs when a person makes a series of decisions over time, leading to reduced mental clarity and impulsiveness. Leading to, llevando a, dando como resultado. Number 4, simple daily choices such as what to have for breakfast typically don't contribute much to decision fatigue because of their routine nature and low stakes. Remember, low stakes, low importance, low risk. And number 5, a study in 2011 observed judges and revealed that decisions about parole were significantly influenced by the time of day. And that is all. Okay, then at the end, well, a bit of a closing statement or closing argument here. How do you manage your own decision-making process throughout the day? So do you have any strategies? Are there any ways in which you try to organize yourself in order to make less decisions, or to spend less energy making those decisions? In my case, just to give you an idea, an example, to say something, I do try to minimize decisions. I'm a big fan of having lists and task lists and so on, to be able to organize my ideas and organize what I have to do. And the day before, I usually try to go over my tasks and maybe delete some of those that I might have written down impulsively, or that are not really important. They're not extremely important, and that way make sure that I focus on the most important decisions I have to, or the most important tasks that I have to do. Other ways of reducing decision fatigue, which are very popular, very common, is try to cook in advance. At the weekend, at home, we try to decide what we're going to eat during the week and plan accordingly, or prepare those meals accordingly, have them in tuppers, what they call now batch cooking, which is just cooking at the weekend as we have always done, or we have done for many years. And that way, during the week, I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat, and most importantly, I don't have to cook. And when I'm during the week, I'm really busy. I have classes. I have to try to work on these lessons, and I have to walk my dog, which requires a number of hours each day. And I don't really have much time. And if I try to cook, it really makes everything difficult. So I just go to the fridge, pull out that tupper with that meal that I have prepared, and that's it. Just heat it up and I'm good to go. These are different ways of reducing decision fatigue. Close before the night before. A habit I have developed over time is the night before, when I'm putting on my pajamas, for example, I am also preparing what clothes I'm going to wear the next day. So I put them all together and I fold them up so that in the morning when I wake up and have my shower, I don't have to think. I just grab the clothes that I had prepared the night before. It's also true that in my particular case, I don't really overthink too much what I'm going to wear the next day. I don't make many decisions, but it's true that we do choose what trousers, what jumper, what colors, to see if they make sense or not, and that can be reduced. Certain times of day are more challenging for me. After lunch, for example, I would say, which is actually right now when I'm recording this video, after lunch becomes quite hard to make decisions, and I'm quite tired. Ideally, in an ideal world, I would maybe take a nap, and a little power nap, as they call it, which is like a 30-minute nap or so on, and restore some of that energy and then make new decisions. Later in the evening, after I finish all of my lessons, which is around 8 p.m., I'm quite exhausted, and I find it quite hard to continue being productive in general and making decisions in particular, really being productive in any way, even though sometimes I have to because I have no choice. I have things to do. And that's all really. I'm sure you all have your own ways of reducing decision fatigue, even though you're may or may not be aware of that, and you might not know. So please, if you want, leave a comment below. Tell me, explain in what ways you reduce your decision fatigue, and when is the most productive time of the day for you, or on the contrary, when is the worst time to make decisions for you. I look forward to reading your comments and hearing about your own particular tips and tricks, perhaps strategies to reduce decision fatigue. And that's all for today. That's all for this lesson on decision fatigue. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, if I haven't mentioned it before, you can watch the video, which you will find in the link in the description, which is the link to the original TED video, which discusses decision fatigue, and which is always very interesting and very educational, and I always recommend everyone to see these videos and use them in class, for example. And well, if you like it, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next Life English lesson. Thank you very much, and goodbye.